Hello, my name is Daniel Weiss and you are listening to my podcast. This podcast is for people who want more from their life. Whether it is health that you are after, mental or physical performance, habits, personal relationships, career, or the core of it all, you want to improve your mindset. You know you can get it to the next level. And I am here to provide you with the tools and inspiration together with my guests so you can get the edge. In today's episode, I am here with Michelle Barton, who is a successful ultra-distance runner. And Michelle will share with you her mindset, how she thinks about challenges in life, how it relates to running, and her recipe for long-term success and long-term happiness. Because from my perspective, Michelle is a definition of happiness. We also discuss nutrition and diets, where Michelle shares with you her story about turning vegetarian, and I share how I turned vegan, if you are interested. You will also find out how to stay vegan, or I give you some tips on sustaining this kind of diet, which you can use for sustaining basically anything in life. We also mention how Michelle sticks to listening to her body and how she trains by feel. So this is an episode packed full of information, and you will get a lot of inspiration from it, a lot of knowledge, a lot of things that you can learn. So just sit back and listen to the interview, enjoy your tea, coffee, maybe you are running, in that case enjoy your run, and enjoy. Let us start by introducing yourself, and I actually would like you to introduce yourself in a slightly different way. What I mean by that is that,
Sure.
People check your Instagram, check your Facebook or whatever, and what they see is like, yeah, you are running, you are swimming, you are biking. I mean, you are doing all that stuff, right? And sometimes,
Yeah.
these are the things that probably define you. And some people like me who are close to the sport, they can imagine like what your life is like. But there are people like who don't run as much or are more casual, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't know really like what does it mean to be a runner. Who are you? How your day looks like, like you wake up now, it's 5 a.m. in the morning for you.
Yeah, this is very early, but I like to get an early start on things. It's still dark and it's not cold. Like, we've had crazy weather. It's just not winter. It's still summer here. So I usually wake up and then I get a coffee at Starbucks and then I go run. And I usually will run for like 1 to 2 hours. And then I have a daughter and she's almost 18, so she goes to high school. And so, just making sure in the morning that she gets off to school okay and has all her assignments done and stuff, but, that kind of mom stuff. But then like after my run, I'll come home and like take a shower and go for a bike ride or go for a swim. And so just training, and then also doing a lot of kind of sponsor follow-ups. I have a bunch of sponsors. A lot of them I've had for 10 years now. And so some have me testing products or reviewing products or just taking some pictures of products or that kind of thing. And I love photography too. But so I basically try to get most of my workouts done while my daughter's at school, and then just do kind of like the mom stuff after that. But yeah, so I do like 3 hours a day, sometimes 4, of like, the running and biking and stuff. And then on the weekends, I like to get to the mountains if I can, and like run Mount Baldy or like a bigger mountain. Usually during the week I stay more local, but still getting in a pretty high volume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
yeah,
that sounds really interesting. But has it always been like that for you? Because many people who listen, they have a life like outside of the sport. For yourself, like you mentioned, you have sponsors, you have this is the your lifestyle, the way you live,
Mm-hmm.
also your bread and butter. This is how you also earn,
Yes.
I guess. And there are people who are more casual and they go have a 9 to 5 job or whatever, and they need to squeeze in that,
Well, yeah.
and also they have family.
Yeah, and right. I mean, like, I respect that a lot. I mean, I was coaching for many years. I was working at the running store for many years, that kind of thing. And then I just, like, when I was coaching high school at the local high school here, I was coaching the girls team, and it really, like, it was at the time where I was kind of just getting into running ultras, and I wanted to see what I could do. And I found that, like, after 3 years, it was taking a lot of time. Like, all my weekends were like traveling in school buses. I even, like, brought my daughter with me when she was like 4 years old, and just like being gone all day at like cross country meets and track meets and that kind of thing. And so I quit that and just started focusing on my own stuff. And then I winning like a ton of races. But I mean, that was, oh my gosh, 15 years ago, I started running ultras. And I got into it pretty quick. Like, my dad was a runner, and so we just started running short distance trail races around here, kind of on the local mountain. And then I found that I really liked it, and it seemed like everyone who was a trail runner was automatically like 100-mile ultra runner. So I kind of just was curious about that, and just kind of got into that within a couple years of like discovering trail running. So it's been a long time. Like, it doesn't feel like 15 years at all. And I initially, like, started running and ran my first marathon because my dad really said that I couldn't, because I had to train properly and do long runs. And I said, oh, well, there's like a LA marathon just next weekend. I think I'm going to sign up and do it. And I never ran more than 7 miles. Yeah. I don't know what that is in kilometers, but like 12. So I just signed up and did it just to prove him. But I had no idea what I was doing. It was pretty funny, just finishing like completely cramped up, and like I think I was in bed for 2 days, like super stiff. But like, it just goes to show, like, you're capable of a lot. Like, if someone says you can't do it, like, you got to prove them wrong. So
exactly. I mean, I totally understand. I'm coming from the very similar perspective when it comes to challenging yourself. But I would like to ask you, like, how did it develop to you? Because it seems like with many people, you followed your passion, and then it turns out like you were coaching at the high school, and then suddenly, how did you transition into the actually being a full-time runner, full-time athlete, sponsored athlete?
Well, like back when I was growing up, my dad always took me to Yosemite, so we would do long backpacking trips. And so I think that's where I found my love of the trails initially. And I mean, I would go to Yosemite every summer, sometimes 3 times a summer, and just get lost in the mountains. And that was always so much fun for me growing up. And then it's funny because in high school, I was like on the dance team and choreographing dance, and I was playing guitar, into music, and I never ever was in any competitive sport my whole life. Like, I never was on soccer, like what typical youngsters do around here. But I just found that when I started doing these like little short distance local races with my dad, and somehow out of the blue, like, placed 3rd woman, I was like, whoa, 3rd woman, is this for real? Okay, I need to get first. I'll do anything and everything and work my butt off to get first, because I really don't think I'm like some super, gifted or just natural talented. I just work, I think, really hard at it. I'm not afraid to put in the time and energy and effort. But so then the next year I went back and like won all the races. So they just have short races that start at like a 12K, and then a 15K, 18K, 21K, and then like a marathon and a 50K. And I just like, I trained so hard, and I just went back. But back then the races, there's not a lot of people, maybe like 80, maybe less. And it's not like how the sport is now. Like it's very competitive, and there's like amazing runners now. I mean, so I've seen a lot of change happen in the last 10 years or so. But I love it. It's fun. It's fun to push yourself and see what you're made of. And that's why I'm not really like satisfied. Like I found that my sweet spot with running or ultra running was always kind of like 50 kilometers, 50 miles kind of thing. And I did so many of those, I just kind of was done with them. And I know that I'm not as good at like the 100-milers. So that's what I'm like now focusing more on is the longer stuff. And eventually I'd like to do a 200-miler and that kind of stuff. Like I've done Badwater, 135-mile. It was definitely hard, but I finished that once. And that was probably...
I'm sorry, I believe that you also made a track sport there for women, right? At Badwater.
Oh, at Badwater, Salton Sea, I ran that with Maya Cernik, and we were on the co-ed team, and we won and broke the record. That was like 135K, and we finished in 17 hours.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but the regular Badwater, I was 10th. I didn't win like the 135-miler one. So that was definitely tougher because that has like way more climbing, more heat, 128 degrees, and just like pretty brutal. I think that one took me like 45 hours. So it was a long one. Yeah.
So what is it actually about the longer distances, like ultra running, that you like? I mean, because there are some
it's like,
and some people who hate it and cannot imagine themselves doing it, right?
I think part of the allure is just the mystery of the unknown, because you know you're going to be broken, you know, and you just don't know what it's going to be. You know, like if it's going to be blisters or your stomach, or so many things can happen. And you just, I mean, I think ultra running is such a mental sport because it's like a puzzle, you know, you have to put everything kind of together and something's going to go wrong. And and it's so weird because you can be feeling like the worst ever, like you want to drop it, then like 10 minutes later you're just like floating around running the trails feeling fantastic. It's just a weird thing, and I think that kind of draws me in. And also just to run all day and all night is pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Like it's amazing to think that you can run like that far and that long, that it's possible.
Yeah, definitely. So it's basically, I really love that aspect of the mental challenge, like you mentioned, that yes, you have ups and downs, and then you are able to push yourself. And I see it as a good training method for life. Like when you push yourself, and then or when you are able to push yourself during the run, it's for training run. Then you can actually apply this also in any other aspect, any other area of your life. You know, like you just look back and oh shit, I did this run and it really hurt, and I was, I have no power, I had no energy, and I was able to push through. And well, now maybe you have some career problems or relationship problems, and you look back at it and like, okay, so I can replicate this.
Yeah, it's exactly right. You could totally translate that into real life, because I mean, it feels like once you've run 135 miles or more or less, like you feel like you can kind of like do anything, because that's a pretty hard thing to do. And it takes a lot of preparation. But I agree 1000% with what you said. Yeah. Makes you a stronger person mentally and physically. Like little things don't bother you as much, and it won't, like if something bad comes up, you can work through it and not just give up.
So advice for everybody who is listening: start running 135 miles and you will be a happier person.
Yeah, it makes you very happy to have that Badwater belt buckle.
Ah, okay. Do you always carry it around, or?
Actually, I have no idea where it is. I looked for it. Like, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in my house. But I don't really run for the medals and stuff. It's awesome to have, but they're not anywhere on display. Like, I have a friend, and he has so many. He just has them stuffed in suitcases, like in the garage. So, yeah, I don't really have any of mine out. So, but it's somewhere.
It's summer, yes. Good. What about what was your favorite race so far? The most memorable, maybe.
I would probably say Badwater for sure. The Badwater Salton Sea was awesome. I really like that distance. I love the course. It's very unique because it's part trail and it's part road, mostly road. And it's just fun to run with a partner the whole time, as long as like that partner and you get along and you're matched pace wise and you can push each other. Um, I also like Trans Rockies. That's also like a stage race, and you don't have to carry really like anything. It's not self-supported. They have aid stations and everything, but you run with a partner 120 miles over 6 days, and I've done that 9 times, and I really like the course, and just it's just really fun. And then I also love the Javelina 100 miler. That's in Arizona here, and that was my first 100-mile win. That was interesting because it was like only 1 year after I broke my ankle. Like I started getting into ultra running pretty serious and was just out on a training run. I just got accepted into Western States like the day before, and you know that race is hard to get into. There's a lottery and stuff. And then I went out on a 20-mile run with my friends and broke my ankle. So I was in like a cast and crutches and all that. And then just coming out of that, it just made me want to work harder. And that's like, you know, it kind of put things in perspective when I was injured. That was my first injury ever in my whole life. And so when I got out of the cast, I just worked so hard to get back. And that's when I started winning like a lot of 50 miles, 50K. I won that 100-miler, and just like even beating some of the guys running these races. And that's always fun. So I have a lot of favorite races. I would say definitely like the races I've run in Canada are also my favorite races, like Sinister Seven and Lost Soul, just because I think it's a little more like running in Europe. They're a lot more technical and harder and steeper, and you need to use poles. And like the races I've done here, they're more smooth trails. You don't need poles. They're not that technical. So I think Canada, the challenge of running there, it's just like really like opened my eyes, and it kind of made me really want to do UTMB in Europe.
Oh, good
So
luck with that. But for
I
that,
know.
qualify and also I think win the lottery, right?
Right. So there's a lot of so many, like I've done so much racing. I used to race almost every weekend, and so I have a lot of good memories of many races. Like there's even a 50K in Yosemite that I've gone and done like 7 times, and other ones in like Utah and Colorado. But so now, since I've done so many races in California, I'm kind of not planning to race in California much anymore, because I just want to do like maybe some harder courses and see some new sights.
Yeah, definitely, because it gets repetitive over time, right? And especially when you
I know. Yeah.
when you are new to the stuff, you want to do as much as possible. You do, people join many races, and after some time, they maybe even drop the sport completely because it gets boring. So
Oh yeah.
obviously, for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lifestyle, it's your passion, and so what keeps you going? Is it simply?
I just think I would be like, I just love running. I love, the competition and being outside. And I think without it, I would just be kind of dead and empty, like when I am injured. Because obviously, if you're doing this sport, like injuries are going to happen. And that's always so hard for me. Like, fortunately, I haven't had super serious, besides like the broken ankle and like some broken metatarsals in my feet and stuff. But that's always the hardest or the biggest challenge, I guess, would be like when, your A race or some important race is coming and then you get injured before, and then like all your goals and your whole year just like is done before you even know it. And then just coming back to it. And usually if I'm injured running, I just focus more on like swimming more, like 2 hours a day, and then like biking if I can, put weight on it. But so this year I don't want to get injured and just like hopefully accomplish. Yeah, because it's hard coming back from an injury. It takes like 3 or 4 times longer than the time out. When say you're injured for 8 or 10 weeks, you're probably going to be out like at least 3 months or so, just trying to get your strength back. But
definitely, I'm actually right now going through an injury. I can run, but I mean, I do like 5 miles at most. But
oh, really?
Yeah, but it's been very challenging at first, like you mentioned, that basically you love to do something and then you have to stop because you just cannot, right? If you want to recover, you cannot do that. You cannot continue doing that. You need to do, like you said, maybe do something different. And actually, this is really interesting also from the mindset perspective, because, for me personally, it was really challenging, not only like losing your passion, but suddenly you have some time or much more time, and like, what am I going time? And also, we develop the kind of personality or it's our archetype, or how we define ourselves. Like, I'm a runner, and suddenly
right,
you're not running, and who am I? We are facing this like existential question, like, who am I? What am I doing? So it reminded me also about the quote from one book, and there was the quote was, "Who were you before you were born?" And what it means is exactly about this definition, how we define ourselves. So if I'm a teacher, I define myself by the profession, or by I'm a mother, I'm a father, and whatever. And suddenly, if you lose that ability to run, like, we need to redefine ourselves, like, who am I? We need to explore a different part of ourselves, part of our life.
Oh, definitely. And it can take time to redefine yourself, for sure. And it puts things in perspective, and maybe you'll spend more time with your family or find something new to do or connect with your friends more. Or, definitely. But don't you think, like, I was just going to say, when I've been injured, I've never been able to run. Like you said, you can run 5 miles and that's it. But would it be better to not run at all and let it heal? Or I don't know what your specific injury is, but it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's some like muscle ache, I would say, like inflamed muscle.
Yeah.
Something like that. Not very serious. But actually, I had like 1 month break completely, and I started with these like 3 to 5 mile long runs, and I go mostly by feeling. So I actually feel better running than walking.
Okay, so that's a good thing to go by, because if it hurts, don't do it, and if it doesn't hurt, do it.
Yeah, but definitely.
Because like,
Yeah.
well, my doctors, whenever I broke something or like tore my meniscus, or I mean, I've had a lot of injuries, but my doctors would always say, "Don't swim, don't bike, don't do anything," and I'm like, "There's no way. I'm just gonna sit and do nothing," because I just feel like, well, what's wrong with swimming? If I just like hold my foot still, I'm not really putting too much pressure on it, and so I always feel better if I'm moving and stuff like that. But yeah, so I always kind of went by that motto, like if it's hurting when I'm doing it, just don't do that activity, do something else.
Yeah, definitely, and actually, it probably also helps you to heal because you get the blood flowing there, right, in the injured parts. So it can even.
I think so.
Yeah. And maybe do some cross training in a way of like weight training. No,
Yeah,
do you do that?
I always enjoyed. Yeah, I have been doing that. Gosh, I basically joined the gym because I was injured when I tore my meniscus in my knee, and then I kind of like, you know, uh, got some really good friends at the gym, and they were pretty awesome. We would have like workouts, and I got really strong in the gym. And then when I got healed again and wasn't injured, I would just go back to my running and biking and stuff, and then get injured again. But lately, I haven't been going to the gym. I just been focusing more on like running, biking, swimming kind of thing. But I believe the gym helps a lot. Like it's important to do weights and weight resistance and all kind of things.
Yeah, definitely. It's like same story with me. I've never been to gym until I get hurt, and then I started going
Yep.
because of the spinning.
Well, no, that same here. I was doing 3 spinning classes a day, but now I do like the trainer and do Zwift, so I can just do it in my house,
Uh-huh.
and that's really fun. It's the same thing. I just think it's a little harder workout than the spinning class. Like you can really kill yourself on Zwift. They have races and stuff and sprints. It's really fun.
Yeah, I have to.
But yeah, I did it for the same reason.
Okay, so this is like really speaking about injuries and like redefining yourself. And so, who are you actually outside of the sport? You mentioned you have a daughter who is nearly 18. So, actually, I would like to know, what do you enjoy besides the sports? You mentioned photography.
Yeah, I always like photography, and it's kind of fun to just run and take pictures of, makes your sponsors happy, taking pictures of the socks or sandals, shoes or clothes or whatever that may be, and especially a beautiful place. So I actually spend a lot of time taking pictures when I'm out running. Like sometimes it's like half pictures and half running, but yeah, so I mean, like most of my life is really just like the training and then like leading up to racing kind of thing, and then being a mom. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, let's make life simple. Some people like to keep things complicated and overcomplicate things.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can definitely make your life complicated, but you don't need to. Just keep it fun and eat healthy and work out a lot, and then yeah, it's a good way to live.
Actually, in one of your interviews, I came across this quote from you, and that was like, "If you are not having fun, don't do it." So I think you live by that.
Oh yeah, I believe that because I mean, why do something if it's not fun? Or find something that's fun to do. Like, don't feel like you're obligated to go do a triathlon or run a million miles if you're not really enjoying it. Go find something you like, whatever that is. Surfing or who knows. A lot of people surf around here, but yeah.
It's not your thing.
So no, I don't really ever go to the beach, and I live very close to the beach. My daughter loves the beach, but I no, I don't. I don't really like to surf or anything like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and
I used to boogie board when I was younger, but that's about it.
so when we are speaking about these things that like having fun and doing things that are fun, um, it came to my mind
Yeah,
that some people who listen to this might think, yeah, but I need to feed my family and have these existential challenges and other kind of challenges like financial, and they think that
right.
they need to do things that they dislike and even hate or develop hate towards them just to exist, just to live. And I noticed that many people who are really like happy and wealthy, it doesn't mean rich, but wealthy, like
Mm-hmm.
have a good relationships, friendships, they are generally in a very good place in life. They do like you said, they do what they found to be fun, and it propels them. It helps them be happy, and in return, it helps them to take care of themselves, take care of other people, and it's kind of return of their energy. It's like there is always something for them to take care of them.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's really interesting. So this is something that I would like to stress to people. Like you really don't need to. There are times when you maybe need to do something for a short period of time to go by,
Mm-hmm.
but from the long term perspective, really to go for what you love to do. Find out what you love to do and keep passionate about it and do that. So actually, have you ever had things like this that you were maybe forced to do something you disliked? Going through this period,
Um.
maybe like take a job or something like this that you didn't like, but you had to
Oh yeah.
do it.
I. I've definitely had jobs like customer service managers, and just like, of course, there's jobs that I like. I just got nothing out of, and you just feel like you're a robot, like just going through the motions, and you get the paycheck, and I mean, so there's just like a waste of like 8 hours a day or whatever, but you gotta make money somehow. But I always found that my jobs kind of leaned towards more of like the fitness industry, even in the beginning. Like I got certified to teach like dance classes and hip hop, and just I was just teaching at all the gyms all around the area, and so I was really enjoying it, like choreographing dances and teaching them, and just always kind of like living in the gym a lot before I started running.
Oh,
And yeah, so but I can relate to what you're saying for sure, and I respect everyone that's like working all day and then finding the time to train for ultras. Like that's definitely hard. There's not a lot of time in the day to like have family and train and work all day and commute and stuff. So
mhm.
but you gotta find happiness in your life, because life is too short. Like I can't believe my daughter's almost 18. It feels like she was just like 5 years old in kindergarten. So it goes by fast, so you better like make some awesome memories and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's definitely a theme or a topic that goes hopefully through all of my podcasts or episodes, because like you said, life is too short to do things that you dislike and even hate. And much respect to
Right.
who does what is necessary to live, and even more respect to people who find time and to do something on the side that they love. So,
Yeah, you gotta find something that makes you happy.
yeah, So you also mentioned about this that you need to eat properly, and this is what I really believe
Yep.
because right, the food is kind of energy that we need. And you have been
Yes.
vegetarian for 25 years, right?
Yeah, probably a little more. I initially was at like a graduation party of my cousin, and they were just doing like a barbecue, and I bit into a piece of undercooked chicken, and that was just like the turning point. I was like, what is this? Like, I don't want to eat this ever again. And so from that point on, I just stopped eating meat. And a lot of people say like, oh, you'd be like a way stronger runner or recover faster, or if you ate meat. And I never, I don't know what that would be like, but I don't want to go there because I've been doing fine without it. And I also found that, like, according to your blood type, like there's a book on this, like some people's blood types are more conducive to being a vegetarian than others. And I do believe that, like, maybe some people really truly can't do it, or they try and they're just feeling horrible. But for me, I feel fine, and I feel plenty of energy from plants. And I definitely don't do the keto or like the low carb. I've never experimented with that. I know that's kind of trendy right now for runners. I do eat like oats and bread, and I'm not really like super picky, but I eat like huge salads every day, and I eat healthy, and that's just what makes me feel the best. And I'm like never ever sick. So I
So you are.
don't take vitamins or anything.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I think diet is super important,
Yeah, exactly.
but I think everyone is different. Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Actually, I turned vegan. My
Oh, okay.
my story was a little bit different because I grew up in a village, so we always had
Uh-huh.
animals around. We were also raising animals for meat, and but
Yes.
I never felt okay not eating it. But I mean, once I had to help with killing them, or basically,
Oh,
it didn't feel
yeah.
good. I mean, it still doesn't feel good. And I was actually having, since I turned vegan like nearly 2 years ago, I was speaking also with my like
Hmm.
grandmother or my mother who are able to, or who were doing this dirty stuff. And
Yeah.
actually, my grandmother now, she said to me like she also feels sorry for these animals and so on, but she thinks okay, it's to be eaten, so I kill it. So this is some
Uh-huh.
kind of programming, in their mind that my grandmother is 75 over, so I mean, there is no changing that, really. But
Yes.
I'm happy that they at least realize, or that they acknowledge it, these feelings, because
Yeah. And how long were you vegetarian?
I was not.
Like, were you? Oh, you just turned vegan like immediately?
Yes, like from day to day.
Oh, okay.
And actually, in my case, it
Okay.
was like I had like skin problems, like eczema,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
it started like when I was at high school. I had it maybe once every 2 years or whatever, but it started to build up, and I started to get it more frequently. And like having scratching yourself, not being able to sleep because of that, it's really really annoying. Uh, and I got tested for the food allergies and these things, and they found out
Yeah.
basically what I loved, milk. So they found out that I had digestion problems with milk and dairy. So I dropped out
Yes.
milk and dairy. Also the eggs, and There
Oh,
was something else I don't remember. So eggs was no problem dropping, but this was really like a reason for me, good enough reason to drop it from day to day. So, many people have problems dropping cheese and diary. So for me, it was,
yes.
I had a reason to do it. And
Right. And so did that help right away? Did it clear it up right away or?
no. Actually, I would say that after 6 months, I started to feel some changes. And actually, I was thinking about it just yesterday that now, after maybe 1 year or maybe even longer, that was the time that I feel like maybe I healed internally, or
Yes.
say that basically I haven't had the eczema or experience with eczema for more than a year now.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, that's good that you've solved that problem.
yes, unexpectedly.
How how do you feel being vegan versus not vegan?
I think I feel the same.
Mhm.
I cannot really compare because I don't remember, but actually, what got me another thing was I started running, and eating meat before or after the run, it,
Yeah.
it didn't work with me. It was too heavy for my stomach to digest.
Right. And it probably makes you tired
Yeah, I mean,
or
there is
if you eat
like with recovery and these things, like, but personally speaking, it makes me feel good.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what?
That's cool. I tried to be vegan for like a year and couldn't really do it. I do eat like egg whites
Mhm.
and sometimes cheese, not very often, but but yeah, it doesn't bother me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I had cheese in this, let's say, in 2 years. I mean, I'm not super strict about it, but it actually also
Right.
helps me to stick with the diet, because if I give myself permission to eat whatever I want, I end up not eating it in the end because I don't feel like restricting myself.
Right.
So, for example, yeah, I say I can have cheese, but I choose not to. And this is very empowering, choosing the choice.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
Mhm. So, what
Or
about?
not giving into like some weakness.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are still people who say, like, you cannot perform as good when you are vegetarian, or vegan is like even more pronounced. But
Right.
I'm try my one of my missions is to try to inspire people and to show them that, yeah, you can be vegan, vegetarian, and you can perform. And for example, I think Sage Kennedy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I believe he was a lifetime long vegan. No, sorry, vegetarian, and he turned vegan like
Uh-huh.
maybe 2 years ago or 1 year ago. And he's running races all over the place all the time, and ultra marathons, ultra distances, mountain running, and doesn't seem to hurt him.
No, not at all. I don't know a lot of male vegans or vegetarians, but I know like 10 years ago, Scott Jurek, when he was winning states and everything, he was vegan. So I think the energies from plants is like plenty. And everyone always asks that questions, where do you get your protein? But oh my gosh, it's really not that hard. So
Yeah, definitely. There, there was a joke like, when you tell somebody that you are vegan, everybody turns into a dietitian.
oh yes, absolutely. They all have their opinions about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
it's, I think in California here, a lot of people are vegetarians, or maybe they just eat fish or something, but it's kind of common. around here.
Is it because it's like trendy, or is it something different, some different reason?
Yeah, maybe it's trendy. I'm not sure. But
And what about
yeah.
what actually
But
keeps you on this kind of diet or lifestyle? Is there also
oh,
anything
I
spiritual
just
about it?
could I anything with what?
Anything like spiritual about it, maybe?
No, no, it's just the thought that I just can't really like think of eating a dead animal. It's just like disgusting to me. That I just can't do that. And like there's no way I could do what you do, like what you did with going to, like with your grandma or your mom and like going through the whole process of that. Just I just don't like the thought of eating that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I won't be turning like back into a meat eater. I get blood work done every year just to make sure all the levels are in check and they're fine, with iron or different
Right.
things, different vitamins, B vitamins, and I'm always fine. Like there's nothing ever alarming or low. So I think I'm just gonna stay with this and just keep eating what I want to eat. But yeah, I never missed it or anything. So
Definitely. And it's also, I believe, like you get it on one side used to it. It's a habit. Like when there are people who eat meat, I mean, it's a habit, right? I see it in
right,
I see it in our household. Like, what are we going to eat? A chicken, because I mean, it's the first thing that comes to the person's memory or person's mind. Like this is what we do. So I mean, it's the first thing that comes to your mind. And in my case, is
right,
what am I going to eat? Rolled oats, for example.
right. That's the same here.
And salad. Actually, I always loved salad, and I found out that you really love like kale, spinach, and
Yes, yes.
yeah,
I just make salads with everything in it.
yeah, I really loved it as well. I mean, that's so much flavor. There are so much flavors, and
And I don't even put dressing on my salad. Like I sometimes will have a little hummus, but like I just like to taste what's in there. If it's red bell peppers or broccoli or whatever, I don't add anything to like disguise what it is. But yeah, and my daughter's a vegetarian too. So I think it helps like if you're it's hard if maybe your household eats completely different. Like if one person eats like red meat and one doesn't, or one has gluten allergy and one doesn't. So I think it's easy if like, your household eats similar,
yeah,
makes it
definitely.
easier. Because I don't want to cook meat, I don't want to touch meat, I don't want it near me.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I have to say, like, when you run these crazy races, or for example, like that Trans Rockies race I've done, they have a chef, and the meals are really good, and they have a lot of variety. And by day 5 or 6, some of the meat like is actually smelling good because I think you're craving that protein to recover your muscles. But I never ate it.
Yes, okay, I understand. Actually, this is something that I was discussing with Zuzana Kocumova. I don't know. Do you know her?
uh, no,
She's
I don't.
she's OCR athlete. Actually, she's Czech lady,
Oh,
pretty
okay.
pretty famous. She's been winning races all around. Like she also won Spartan race European Championships, or sorry, OCR
Oh, cool.
European Championships. In Spartan race
Right.
championships, I think she was second or third. Now I don't remember, but she's very successful in the sport. Very, very successful. She's vegetarian,
Okay.
and
Oh, nice.
we were speaking about this, that sometimes she has cravings for the meat as well, but and she will follow that. And not like you said, like you would not eat it even if it's, let's say, smells good or whatever. In the same situation,
Right.
she would eat meat, and I was discussing with her that maybe there is something like this that, yes, we crave it, but maybe it's not meat that we crave, or that's maybe coming to your mind, or that smells good and tasty. Maybe sometimes it's salt, maybe sometimes it's the dressing or sauce, or anything that goes along with it. And
Right.
I have these cravings from time to time as well, but when I take time to really focus on it and recognize what it is that I'm craving, it's actually something totally different. It's not the meat, it's something that goes with it, like I mentioned, the sauce, or maybe like minerals, salt, and maybe protein.
I definitely. Right. So go eat some tofu or something else, or protein bars. But I definitely find that I crave the salt too. So maybe you're right. When I'm smelling that stuff, maybe it's just the salt that I want.
Yeah, I think often it is actually the salt, but this is just my hypothesis. And actually, my point was that sometimes when we just take this step back, to give it the time, like for example, when you are hungry, hunger comes at, like in waves as well. And like it is said that when you are hungry, sometimes you are just thirsty. So I think it can be very similar.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And I also believe in not being on a schedule. I know people is like, okay, breakfast is at 8 a.m. and dinner is at 6, and it's like automatic, but like I am not like that at all. Like if I'm not hungry, I won't eat, and if I am, I will, and I just like kind of, and that's kind of even how I am with training. Like I just go by more intuition and more just what am I perceiving right now, and yeah, I definitely am not like a robot like that where I have these meals like at exact same times of days. It's always kind of different, random, like it depends on the training or that day of training, or just how your sleep is, or just all kinds of things affect your eating. Definitely. I think.
And actually, I love that you brought up this point, because this is something that I'm focusing on this year for myself, to bring more intuitive, let's call it intuitive eating, back into my life. Because,
right.
The past year, I had a very scheduled. I was counting calories, like each single calorie and everything. And I mean, I'm still counting it, but I'm not as strict about it. It's just like to make sure that I'm getting enough fuel, and to have a kind of feedback or some numbers to go by, or anything like that. And
yeah, I've never counted calories. It seems like a lot of work to get all the info.
Yeah, and this is very interesting to me, because when I speak now with you, also when I spoke with Zuzana and with other people who are like athletes and very athletic,
yes,
this is like a common pattern. They don't really count calories. They are going more with intuition, also like you mentioned, training. And I think that is because you are more in touch with your body, with your feelings. You have better this mind-body connection, I would say.
Yes.
And people who are just getting into sport or whatever, they seem to, also that was my case. We want to quantify these things to understand. Like, okay, so I should run this much or this long distance now. I should do this and this, and we, when you tell that kind of person, like, I go by your intuition, it's very.
Yeah.
Answer. What do you mean go by intuition? What do you mean I should eat by intuition or whatever? And it's incomprehensible for them. So.
Well, it really is. And like my dad, he runs ultras too, and he's an engineer, an aeronautical engineer and an inventor. And so like mathematics is like how his brain works. And so he would ask me questions, for example, okay, Michelle, how much salt do I take, like salt pills? How many do I take per hour? And I'm like, oh, well, you just have to you just gotta like feel it, or like, I'm like, well, just lick your arm. If you're salty, take some. But so he wanted this answer like, okay, Dad, you take like 4.5 pills every 2.7 hours, and like some like formula. And I'm like, it depends on the weather. It depends on you. It depends on the humidity. Like, there's so many variables, and he didn't like that. I couldn't give him a definitive answer. Because there's not. I mean, like at Badwater, I'm probably taking like 3 salt pills every hour, or maybe more. And then at other races, maybe 1 every 3 hours. So it's just like, but you learn. I guess like over the years, I guess it's just like automatic that I'm kind of intuitive, even with training and stuff like that. You just kind of, and I enjoy that more than having like a structured plan, like being like, okay, I have to do exactly this today and take this calories and this, like run this amount of miles. I just kind of do what feels right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
yeah.
completely agree, and it's much more like you said, it's a feeling of being free, like freeing yourself compared to
Yeah, it is. And
having everything in control or trying to control everything.
I think some people like being told what to do. That's why they hire coaches. And I mean, maybe well, obviously, like it helps to have like someone that knows more than you, or have like some kind of guidance to improve. But I think also trial and error is really important, like learning, having made a lot of mistakes on your own and fixing that and tweaking things and learning what works for you. I mean, with diet and training and life and everything, like you don't have to always be told what to do all the time. But I think some people like need that motivation to like have a coach and just kind of like have that backbone to ask questions to, and just kind of like be accountable for. And I had a friend that was like a very serious Ironman triathlete, and she would always be like first place in her age group, and she had a pretty famous coach, and she would get panicky. Like sometimes we would do runs together, and if her heart rate jumped out into the wrong zone, because he's like, okay, do like a 10K run at your heart rate's at zone 2 or whatever. And so if the heart rate was off, she would be so nervous and like, oh my gosh, my coach is going to fire me if he sees this like workout. And so I never want it to be like that. Like that kind of takes the enjoyment out. Like for me, I would rather just like not have a coach. Like if that's how stressful it is, I'd just rather like go disappear in mountains and play. So
that's a good mindset to have, like you said. But I believe that some people need kind of control, at least.
Yes.
To some extent, to some degree. But
yes,
why I think that people go or like to have this quantification and some kind of rules is because we are really afraid of letting go of the control and make mistakes and fail. So we don't want to fail, so we try to control uncontrollable. Like you said, with the salt, and your father wanted to have everything like like how much salt. And for example, this is like one area that I've been very intuitive in, that salt or drinking hydration for myself has been very interesting. And for example, during my last ultra distance, I drank in 8 hours maybe 2 liters of water in summer.
Okay.
Which is very low compared to like standards or according to tables, but it was enough for me. I went totally
Yep.
like.
I mean,
Mhm.
I agree. I think that's cool. Like, because maybe if someone told you to take more and you drink double that, you would not perform as well or not feel as good. And I have friends that it's crazy. Like some of my friends, it's amazing. They don't really need any water or any fuel, even for like 4 hours. And they just know they don't need much. And other people that will be bringing like a 10-pound backpack full of
Yeah.
snacks and drinks and everything. But and like I always go pretty minimal. I don't need a lot of calories and a lot of water, but I mean, you just kind of figure that out. And I agree with you about people are afraid to fail or people are afraid to drop out of ultras. And I definitely have had my fair share of like dropping out of some hundreds, but then again, I've won a lot of races. So like that's where you learn the most. So you have to fail. It's okay to fail.
Yeah, and give yourself permission to fail.
Hmm?
Because yeah, we are sometimes too strict with ourselves. And actually, when it comes
Yeah, I
to
agree.
hydration, another
Yes.
thing is that specifically with this, before there were some rules or recommendations, and these recommendations are constantly changing. So who are you to believe? Are you going to believe some recommendation based on, okay, it's based on some science, definitely there is some reasoning behind it, but like you said, you have a friend who doesn't really need for 4 hours to drink anything,
Anything.
and
Right.
I'm on that side. I didn't even sweat during that race that I mentioned, and it was in summer. And I mean,
Oh
your
gosh.
body also your body compensates on the other side. So I mean, our body is very wise. It has a lot of wisdom, and I believe that we need to really get to the middle ground to be able to also understand, think from the scientific perspective, but we should not forget about the wisdom of our body and be able to listen to it.
Right. And the wisdom, like, I mean, your body is so smart. I mean, it's it's just like doing so many things that you're not even aware of constantly. And I just think that if you tune into your body, if you're able to do that, like you will maybe be less sick and perform better and just kind of get more out of life. Like just really tune in to what signals you're hearing. But
Yeah, I
I,
agree
I
completely.
think that's, yeah. But I mean, what I've learned is just like there's so many different dynamics and people, like what one person does at a race or training is complete opposite of other people. Like some people at these 200 milers are just stopping to eat like double bacon cheeseburgers and like some are just eating Cheetos chips and like everyone is so different. Some eating gummy bears and so whatever works, but you got to find that and take the time to figure it out.
With big salad.
Yeah, big salad. I don't know about that during a race, but I've eaten all kinds of crazy things during race,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
burritos and pizzas and quesadillas. But
I sometimes think when I see these races that some people are attracted just by the food from
I know it's amazing, like an it's like an amazing buffet at the ultra marathons. I think like you can actually gain weight at some of these races. Especially like Trans Rockies, they have lines like they have one line of vegetarian, one of regular food, one of gluten free, like all these choices, and then they have like a dessert area, and then they have the beer area, and that's another thing. I don't drink alcohol at all either. I just don't like the taste of it at all. I really never have, and so I think that kind of helps me just stay healthy and stay on track. And that kind of thing, not carrying around extra body weight from like drinking beers and things. I guess that's kind of popular with our sport, is like drinking beer, but I don't do that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be. I don't drink beer, or I kind of like the taste, but don't drink it, or I haven't drank it
Yeah.
in a long time. But actually, I would like
Right.
to ask you a few more questions because I also respect your
Sure.
time you have to do to go
Thank
for
you.
your
Okay, let's do it. Thank
So,
you. I know.
as I mentioned in the beginning, you have very good energy and you are very optimistic, positive, and that definitely comes from your whole lifestyle that is like, I would say, balanced. You do what you love to do and everything. And has it always been for you that way, or have there been some challenges that you take power from or get inspired from?
I mean, like, I definitely feel like you become a stronger person when you go through different like lows in life or different challenges. But overall, I believe that like, well, I'm an only child growing up, and my mom and my dad are kind of the same. Like, they have a lot of energy, and they're always positive and happy and nice, and always kind of treat others completely equal. And so I guess it's just kind of, I grew up that way and just feel that that's the best way to live. But yeah, I think like if you go through struggles, it definitely like makes you a stronger person. And I just don't think there's any reason to be like unhappy or mad or like that. You know what I mean? Like, just stay happy and do what you love. Yeah, it is a choice, but I think people think they don't have a choice, but they really, because one of my friends, he was just saying like, oh my gosh, I have to drive at 4 a.m. to this meeting, and then I have to train with this friend for my race, and then I have to see all these patients, and I'm like, well, that's your choice. Like, who's putting a gun to your head? Like, that is because you want it that way. And he's like, oh, I guess so. So change it if you don't really like it.
It's good that he realized it, because many people are like, no, but this is not my choice. It's outside of my control, and I cannot do anything.
Right.
And, well, if you really cannot, then it's
Yeah.
outside. So take a decision and step outside of it and create a different kind of lifestyle, right? This is
Right. Yeah. And I like to be happy even when I'm running. I run on my like daily trail. It's pretty much like a mellow trail behind these houses. It overlooks the ocean, and there's a lot of people just like walking their dogs. They probably would not be out there if they didn't have a dog, or they're just like hiking. And like some of them are just won't even say hi back to me. I mean, some people are just like, why are you out here if you're not happy? Like, I try to say hi and wave to everyone, and some people just like looking down and not happy or won't even like acknowledge me, but that's fine. So I don't know. I always try to like bring a smile to someone's face, or just like take that extra, step to just like smile and say hi, and just kind of, I don't know. And then like most people will say hi, like, and just be friendly towards you. But I think it's important to like omit that happiness throughout your day, whether you're at Starbucks or wherever on the trail.
yeah. That's your big love for coffee, right?
Yeah, I have to have my coffee in the morning. I just drink pretty much water and coffee, but that's it.
I am very, very, very similar in that aspect. It's like coffee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not a tea person. No tea party.
No, I hate tea. I cannot stand it. Like, there's nothing for me. I don't enjoy it at all.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
mind it, but I'm not on that side.
I don't like it.
Very serious question. What's your favorite coffee?
I'm not super picky. I mean, I like the Starbucks Pike, but I just like, I guess, a medium roast coffee. Nothing too like bitter or strong, but I'm not super picky about that. So I get it with a little bit of like steamed soy milk in there. So, but yeah, just one venti, which is pretty big, but that'll last me all day.
So I'm on the other side, which is like many small coffees, like espresso, ristretto, this kind of things. So.
Oh, sounds fancy.
Yeah, and I grew very picky.
Oh, okay. See, I can't tell the difference between coffees too much.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine also, with the higher volume of water, it's kind of hard, right? So it depends.
Right.
But drink what you like. That's the most important. What makes you happy?
Totally. Yeah, whatever tastes good.
Yeah. And so what are your goals actually now for the future? What is your vision?
Okay. Well, the last couple of years I was injured. I had a broken metatarsal. Like over the summer, just somehow like broke my foot right before my big race. And so this year I just plan to run some races in Canada and get those points for UTMB. And then I plan to go to Mexico again and run the Caballo Blanco 50 mile with my Luna Sandals teammates and Barefoot Ted. And so far, just like training for those. So in total, most likely 5 ultra marathons, but I might add some, or we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So
I don't really have anything planned in California or the U.S. Just kind of training.
Mm-hmm. So good
yeah.
Once more with UTMB lottery. Hopefully you will.
Yeah, that would be fun. It might take a few years to get in.
Yeah,
but I've never raced in Europe. I mean, I've been running ultras for 15 years and never raced in Europe. So, I mean, even if it's not UTMB, I would like to do something in Europe in the next year or two, for sure.
Definitely do it.
Yeah.
The nature here is amazing. And
yeah.
I never raced UTMB, obviously, but from the videos that I saw, it's really beautiful. It really is.
I know. Very hard. It looks amazing. It looks unlike anything we have here. I think maybe the Hard Rock 100 miler is maybe the most similar comparison to UTMB. Yeah.
Yeah. So once more, good luck. And thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much for connecting with me at 5 a.m. And
I know. I thought this would be, I was afraid I was going to oversleep, or this would be like I would be half sleeping, but it was perfect.
Yeah.
It worked out great. Thank you so much for having me. It's nice talking to you and meeting you.
Yes, the pleasure is on my side. And what about people who want to maybe, contact you or whatever, get in touch with you? What is the best way?
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram at Michelle M. Barton. I'm on Strava at Michelle Barton. I'm on Facebook, Michelle Barton. And I would say that's it. I don't really use Twitter. So I would say I'm most active on like Strava and Instagram.
Yeah, definitely on the Instagram.
Yeah.
People can see a lot of beautiful pictures that you take. And actually, do you have any
Thank you.
specific technique for taking pictures on the run? Because, I saw pictures also of yourself.
Uh-huh.
And how do you take these pictures?
You just kind of put it on burst mode. And so you would just like, you can have like a little tripod or not. I don't have one, but some of these are pretty cool. You can wrap them on like trees or rocks, kind of, that work people. But I just kind of prop it up somewhere and then just kind of run across, like run in front of it or run over it and back and forth. And it just will take pictures like really fast. So you're bound to get one good picture if you take like 200.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take most all my pictures because I really run mostly by myself um, most of the time, unless I may be in bigger mountains or somewhere else like in Canada or somewhere. Then I'll probably be running with someone. But so yeah, it's nice to have somebody take your picture because taking all the pictures yourself is kind of funny, especially if there's people like walking by on the trail and they're like looking at you. But it's cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and then on the Strava record there will be like section of 10 meters and like around.
Yeah. Yeah, back and forth for like 30 minutes.
Okay,
Get the lighting.
that was my 20 miler.
Yeah, I know. It takes time, but it's fun.
Okay, Michelle, thank you very much. I hope to connect with you, maybe even race with you sometime. And
Sure, that would be awesome. Thank you for having me, Dan.
thank you, thank you, thank
It
you.
was nice talking with you.
Same here. Have a great day.
Good luck with your injury and
Bye.
good luck running and yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, talk to you later.
If you had enough of stalling, if you want to get to the next level, whether it's your relationships, you want to get the mental and physical edge, you want to perform to the best of your ability and to the best of your capacity, you want to improve your health or habits, you can reach me out at daniel@danweiss.eu. It is Daniel at dan, W-E-I-S-S .eu, and I will make sure to reply to you. Then the next step is that we schedule a call. It's a Skype call, Zoom call, approximately up to 1 hour. I will give you 1 hour of my time, and during that 1 hour you will get a lot of value. Most importantly, you will get clear about your vision of your next step. You will get an action plan, what to do the next, and we will see how to move from there. Also, feel free to add me on Facebook. I'm there as Dan Weiss. Once again, Dan is a shorthand for Daniel. Weiss, which is spelled Weiss. And just make sure to write me a message because when you add me, I want to see like you are not just some spam bot. Also, feel free to add me on Facebook. I'm there as Dan Weiss. Dan as a shorthand from Daniel. Weiss, Weiss, once again. And just make sure to write a message to introduce yourself that you are adding me because you listen to my podcast or whatever. And do you have a great day now? Have a great day. Now, have a great day.